The Last Guardian of the Forest. In the heart of the ancient forest, where the trees whispered secrets to the wind, there lived a guardian named Era. She was the last of her kind, a being of nature imbued with the essence of the forest. Her hair was as dark as the night sky, and her eyes shone like the stars. Era's task was to protect the forest from the ravages of humanity, who had long since forgotten the importance of the natural world. For centuries, Era had stood vigilant, her presence felt by the creatures that dwelled within the forest. She knew every path, every glade, and every hidden glimmer of light. Her knowledge was vast and her wisdom deep. She had seen the forest flourish and wither, but she remained steadfast, her duty unbroken. One day, a group of travelers stumbled upon the forest, seeking shelter from a storm. They were a motley crew, each with their own tale of woe. There was the young bard, whose voice was silenced by the harshness of the world. There was the warrior, whose sword was broken by the weight of her own guilt. There was the scholar, whose books were burned by the ignorance of others. And there was the wanderer, whose feet were worn by the endless search for meaning. As the storm raged outside, the travelers huddled around the fire, their stories of loss and longing echoing through the forest. Era watched them from the shadows, her heart heavy with the knowledge that they were but the latest in a long line of those who had forgotten the forest's power. The next morning the storm had passed, leaving behind a clear sky and a sense of hope. The travelers decided to stay, for they felt a strange connection to the forest. They began to explore its depths, discovering hidden glades and ancient ruins. Era watched them, her heart softening. Perhaps, she thought, they could be the ones to restore the balance. As the days passed, the travelers grew closer to the forest, and the forest to them. They learned the ancient songs of the trees and the secrets of the creatures that dwelled within. Era taught them the ways of the forest, and they in turn shared their own stories of resilience and hope. One night, as the travelers sat around the fire, Era appeared before them. Her presence was palpable, and her eyes shone with a deep wisdom. She told them of the forest's history, of its struggles and triumphs. She spoke of the ancient pact between the forest and the creatures that lived within it, a pact that had been broken by the greed and ignorance of humanity. The travelers listened, their hearts filled with a sense of purpose. They knew that they had been chosen to restore the balance. They vowed to protect the forest, to heal its wounds, and to share its secrets with the world. From that day forward, the forest flourished. The creatures returned, and the trees grew tall and strong. The travelers became the forest's guardians, and Era, the last guardian, was no longer alone. Together, they worked to restore the balance, and the forest became a beacon of hope for all who sought it. Years passed, and the forest grew in power. The travelers, now known as the Forest Keepers, traveled far and wide, spreading the word of the forest's importance. They taught the ways of the forest to all who would listen, and the world began to change. In the heart of the forest, Era stood tall, her presence felt by all. She had found her purpose, and her duty was fulfilled. The forest was safe, and the balance was restored. And as the wind whispered secrets through the trees, Era knew that her legacy would live on, for the forest would always be her home.